Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Friday, and it's May the 30th, and this will be our chart lesson for today. Turned out to be, it started out looking like a range, and then we had a clear channel working up here, and we corrected and finished it off with a new high for the day. So, but I do believe in the end there was a larger channel here, and you can see it holding here, and we overshot it a little bit to the low side, but you couldn't find this. You had an idea maybe after this happened right here, but when we went on through right here, I'm thinking at first that no, uh, this the bigger range is going to take precedence, but it ends up holding and going higher. But you really didn't get any confirmation of that until this failed second entry short right here and the second entry long, and then you kind of got some confirmation of it. Obviously, you could tell there was strong support here. This one was really tricky, and I'll be honest, I went short here and I had to get out of this thing. Kind of frustrating, and I didn't take the long, and looking back at it, I wish I had of. Um, so you might have got messed up right here too, but if you did, if you saw this setup right here and you're not short, that's what happens when you're in a trade and you see these traps. A lot of times you realize you got to exit, but you don't see the bigger picture because you're thinking short, and I was kind of married to the short. I really thought we were going to make a new low. I knew there was a chance we could bounce, but when this tried to go lower here and we got hung up and we still couldn't get lower, I just exited this. Um, got a tick or so out of it, but nothing worth writing home about. It just was not a good, it just was a little difficult. So if you got caught up there, I can understand why, but there's definitely, if you saw the bigger channel, then you probably shouldn't have. And I just wasn't quite sure. I really thought we would push on down. I thought the channel was going to take precedence, but you can see here that didn't happen. I was really surprised that we shot down so quickly here without making a retest, but you can see the rules came through, and if you just traded this channel and didn't see the bigger one and you followed the rules, and you wouldn't have got short. It's doubtful you pick up this trade anyway. Um, I don't think you can go short there. Would have worked out great if you did, but I don't know how you get in that trade unless you're really taking a chance there. Um, so anyway, that's what I saw. Let's talk about each trade, and then we're gonna call it quits. I'm ready to get out. I've had enough of this thing this week, but I'm going to tell you something right now. As you can see, all the way back here, it just doesn't pay to sell this market. You had a nice trend here, and that's more of a range day. You try to sell it here, you end up going higher. Same thing today. You try to sell it here, it ends up going higher. So it just doesn't pay to sell this market. I mean, it's not meaning that you can't get a good downtrend going and you end up getting a chance to sell, but you better be doggone sure you're reading it right, or you're going to be in trouble. So, but let's talk about the trades, and I'm going to get out of here. There's a baseball tournament going on at the university here, a regional tournament. If you're a baseball fan, so I'm going to be out cheering on um, the Mississippi team, and so I'm going to get out of here early today. But let's talk about the trades. There was a short right here. I drew this one green because it's a little bit iffy because it was but notice this new high. It's a first entry pullback, and this looked really bullish. So it's a nice failed second entry that traps people, and it's definitely a trading range. So you don't want to be getting long there. You got to be looking for a short setup. And due to the trap, I kind of like that one. I would have used a limit order here. If this would have been a big bearish bar, it closed on its low, maybe it was okay. And it did turn out to work either way. But I think you need to use a limit order and try to get a tick or two back. And you could have actually gotten at least 2 ticks back into that bar. Then it bounces down here. I like this one just as a plain long because this is an obvious trading range. And, we've tested this a couple of times now. Odds are we're going back to the other side, and and you had to kind of ride this pullback out, and you might have even thought about entering here after it broke lower and turned up, but I think it's so close to the high you can't risk it. You got to use a limit order, and by that time you've got all this bouncing here, and then it looks like it's backing up. So I don't think you want to enter there, and you can't go short here. It's again it's too much overlap. You need to wait on a trap, a failed second entry long, and you never get one. In fact, you get a failed second entry short that reverses. But again, I don't think you want to go long right there because this channel is not really established. This is just the first couple of swings, and that kind of set it up. But even though that's bullish, it's inside, and there's a good chance you go long right there and it turns down. So I don't like going long there either. So you miss that trade. There's a breakout pullback long there. I don't like it either. You know, looking back, they look like, hey, you probably should take those. But when you look at that, that's what you're looking at right there. You're looking at going long right there with all. You just can't do that. And then you're looking at going long above that bar, and it's just an inside bar, and usually those little gaps are going to get filled. And notice it. So I just don't think you can take either one of those. And so it works on higher. And you need a second entry long. That's a two-legged pullback to the EMA. And you might have started to look at this, at these highs across here. There's really not enough yet. It really still looks like a trading range. And you got your measured move here, but I still think you're looking for another retest on a two-legged pullback. The trend is up or moving up. Easy scalp. And then you pull back, and now you get another bounce. Now you've got several touches of that trend line. It's really confirmed. And this is a nice reversal bar. I think you just go long right there. You might think about waiting on a second entry, but you never really got it. And it comes back and you get a first entry here. And you can't go long above that one. This looks pretty good here, but it never goes higher, and then it turns down. And I just don't see how you're going to, you know, if you're playing the range, you might go short here. But by this time, this is a fairly obvious channel, and it's, you know, it's holding prices like it's supposed to. So I don't see how you can go short because there's too big a chance it turns down and goes back up and makes a new high now. That's the way I was looking at it anyway. So I just don't think you can get in that short safely. Maybe when it makes this bar, but look how close you are to those lows, and I just don't see it. I hate it. I wish I could figure out a way that you could see to get in that trade without being risky, and I just don't see one. So even though it's a nice move, and what that does is it serves a couple of purposes. People see that move going down, and they couldn't find a good way to get in it. And they think, man, this thing suddenly turned bearish and we're not down to the low, so we're going to head down. And that sucks you into this trade because now you're thinking, I got to get short if it sets up again. And sure enough, it sets up again and it just traps everybody, and boom. So I circled this one in green because I think it was worth considering. But I do believe you have to use a limit order here. And if I hadn't exited this thing, it's possible I might have gotten out anyway. But I didn't hang around to find out. When it couldn't go lower right there on those matching lows, I took what it would give me and I got out of this thing. I didn't take the long here, but you definitely, if you see this and you're not short, you know there was going to be a retest. And when they tried once, twice, three times, and then a fourth time and couldn't get it any lower, and look at all those stems down there. A market that can't go lower, it's going higher. And a market that can't go higher is eventually going to go lower. And that's what happened here. It couldn't go lower. Notice that each one of these times we're making a little higher low except for that little trap right there. And notice how the closes are a lot higher than these closes. There was so much buying. I actually talked with another trader. We sent a couple of emails, and he was asking me what I thought about this. And I basically told him I like it to the downside. You know, I really thought if we got through this area, there was a chance we might make another leg down, but we couldn't even get down here to test the previous low. So when it turned up again there, you got to go long. And you could really see it coming because they're just what really happened, I believe, is that people weren't necessarily looking to buy here, but nobody would sell it anymore. It would just sit there. And nobody would sell it. Nobody was willing to sell it there. Nobody wants to sell this market. And so it took off. And then when you got this moving up here, I would have been looking for a measured leg here. Let's just measure it. I don't think we got quite a measured leg. But that would be leg one. And we came real close. We came within a tick. I didn't mark anything after 2 o'clock. You you might have considered going long here. Actually, I haven't talked about this short, but this is a second entry short, counting off the tops, and you already had a second entry short counting from the lows. Got a new low there, pull back first entry short, pull back second entry, but you can't take that second entry short. You need to wait and see if you don't get a trap and it tries to go higher. And look how bearish that bar is. Just put a stop right there when it broke. That was an easy trade. And there's a failed second entry long there. But by this time, this channel is obvious, and we're still right at the EMA, so I don't think you can go short right there into the EMA. And it does reverse, and if you were paying attention, you really could have gone long there. I think it's just as risky to go long there as it is short. When it came back and then went higher, I think you could go long there, figuring that you're going to look for a measured leg. So maybe even there, but it's 2:30 by then. It's so late in the day on a Friday when this thing has been really crazy anyway. So I'll go ahead and mark that one green just in case some of you were still trading and took it. I know there's some of you that like to trade till the bitter end. My philosophy is I don't even like to trade the afternoons, to be honest. I like to be through by lunch. But lately it's, last week or so, it's been hard to be through by lunch unless you are just unless you're sitting on a lot of trades that you should be exiting. It's almost impossible to be through by lunch because there's just not enough entries. And the bias is still up. And you only see that one trade. And the only reason I like that one is because I was still playing this this channel, and we got the break and a new high. And you can't deny this is a trading range up until here. And so it's a failed breakout with two tries to go higher, way away from the EMA, big bearish bar with a little trap. So that's the only reason I like that short. And I went back and forth about whether or not to make that one green, but I think that one's okay based on the rules. If you see this channel, we got the break and a move to a new high. You see the trading range is a failed breakout. If you saw this trend line right here, it's like a double kiss of it. So there's several reasons to think prices are at least going back to the EMA or this median line if you saw the bigger channel. And I really wasn't sure about it until, obviously this was here, but finding out where it fit down here, I started with it right here and it went right on through, and I was thinking, okay, but we still got through, but we got back inside, and so I thought we'd probably go on lower there and test this, but couldn't do it. So, but that's it. I'm not going to waste any more time today. I'm going to call it a weekend and go enjoy my weekend. I hope you do the same. We'll be back to do it Monday. And this is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.